GoLoud.
Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. How's it going, guys? How the hell are you? How are your hearts? And of course, how are your heads? Guys, what's going on? How are you doing? We've made it to February. That's the most important thing. We have passed the pilgrimage of January and we are finally here in February. It's brilliant news. But do not be fooled. Like I was, okay? The cloak of grey is still covering the country and it likely will until around August. So try not to do what I did last year and fall into a false sense of springtime and expect blue skies every morning because you will become depressed. Nevertheless, in an attempt to fight the flames of freezing weather and colder hearts, it's a roast of petty breakups. Before we begin, I think it's worth saying that if you are out there, any of you out there, okay, if you're experiencing heartbreak at the moment and the infinite agony that comes with saying goodbye, our thoughts are with you, okay? Breakups are tough. Not just because you're closing the door on the person that you once loved, but also the plans that you made together. Suddenly, your future starts hemorrhaging certainty and the hours in the evening feel like years. But then, sometimes in life, the person decides to behave like a big, unweaned baby, still suckling on their mother's milkers well into their 30s, 40s and beyond. And this makes the whole process easier. The cord that connects you both is easier to sever when you see what's on the other side for what it truly is. And today we are going to focus on that, the tiny, trivial acts of revenge sought by scorned lovers, sons, brothers, fathers, daughters, when they've been told it's over. AKA pettiness, petty faloo, Shilpa Petty, the Pettysburg address, she's got Petty Davis eyes, Spaghetti Bolognese, am I alone? No, I'm not, my friends. It is, drum roll please, the most exciting comeback since Cocoa Pops changed their name back to Cocoa Pops after Choco Krispies for about 3 weeks in the late 90s. This is Roy Keane returning to international training after Saipan. This is Jordan back in the NBA.
Keep going.
This is Tiger Woods winning the Masters in Augusta 2019. This is the Weekly Roast, becoming Apple Podcast #1 new comedy podcast of 24 after the original podcast fell apart due to my drinking. Nevertheless, this is Mickey Rourke and the Wrestler. This is McConaughey and Dallas Buyers Club. This is Steve Jobs back at Apple. This is Ed Smith.
Yes.
Ed, do you like milk?
Oh my God, I love milk.
Oh, let's fucking go. Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. A dose of crack for the lactose. I don't know. I haven't thought that one through. Welcome back to our beautiful Ed Smith. Ed is going to be standing in for the next couple of weeks while our other secret producer will slowly be revealing their identity. Let's get into it.
Hi Mark, first of all, love the podcast. Just want to preface by saying he had cheated on me, and in my revenge as I was leaving the house, I just had about 9 or 10 eggs left in a carton, and instead of taking them with me, I just planted them around the flat, in the top shelves and under the grate of the floorboard and stuff, just so that they'd stay.
Okay, a couple of things to get into straight away here. I love the way you say there are 10 or 11 eggs left in the carton. So instead of taking them with me, I decided to plant them beneath the floorboards, as if they were the only two options.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? You could leave the eggs,
Could have poached them?
Exactly. She didn't need to plant the eggs and then scramble. I just feel like if you're in a position where you're leaving eggs around your ex's gaff, that's the moment that you need to check yourself and intervene with your own logic and critical thinking. Somebody else got in touch to say that they hid fish behind the radiators in their ex's gaff. I mean, where is the victory there? Imagine explaining that to your therapist. Imagine, these people who do these things, I always wonder, what are they like at the end of the day when their head hits the pillow and they're doing a little sort of recount of their day in their head, wondering how they could improve, the self-reflection happens. What happens when they tell their therapist things like this? So, Keith, they have that very neutral accent therapist, don't they? So, Keith, how are you doing today? Is there anything in particular you'd like to discuss? How are you managing the breakup? You know yourself, yeah. Doing grand actually. Grand actually this week now, yeah. Going for a few long walks, you know, catching up with old friends, all the obvious stuff. Trout behind the radiator, thinking of starting Pilates. Sorry? Trout behind the radiator. What? Well, they were sold out of haddock. No, that's not what I was asking. Well, I didn't catch the trout. That's also not what I was asking. This is not the aspect of the story I was going to press you on. Why are you shoving fish behind a heating system? This is insane. You know, it's just part of my healing, isn't it? You know, and I've also started journaling. Can we address that for a second? People in 2025 seem to think that if they do a bit of journaling, it gives them carte blanche to behave like narcissistic warlords throughout the rest of their day. You're not Mahatma Gandhi for writing out a list of things that you want and calling them intentions. Do you know, a Dyson Airwrap isn't an intention. Do you know what I mean? Nor is a trip to Dubai. Anyway, let's get back to the fish. Ed, thoughts?
I've heard of mice.
Planting mice?
I've heard of dead mice.
Oh my God.
Sewn into the hem, is whatever you call it, the hem of a set of curtains.
Oh my God.
And then they had the place turned upside down, fumigators in.
Searching.
Couldn't work out what it was, but eggs, yeah.
Like fish behind the radiator, let's be honest, surely... So it wouldn't take Jessica Fletcher to sort of identify the source of that stench. It's not like you're going to walk into your gaff and go, do you know what? Yeah, it's really, the house just all of a sudden massively smells like fish. I suppose we should probably ignore that and just suffer for the rest of our lives, like we do with our mental health issues. Do you know, this is just completely insane. There is no context whenever one just ignores the smell of fish. I don't think. Nevertheless.
Well, I'm just trying to think. There's people that cook fish at lunchtime in the
the microwave. Worst of all.
Worst of
all, people.
Death becomes them.
Oliva.
Okay, so post breakup pettiness. I knew he was going out one night with all his friends and the lads, and I knew the place he was going to. So I rang the manager of the pub and I told them that I was a guard. And I gave them a fake name of a guard from the station, the local station. And I told him to look out for this chap and gave a name and gave a description and approximately what time he'd be there and who he would be with and blah, blah, blah. And said that he would be dealing Class A drugs and that to ring the Garda station when he came in. And because the guards had come down and arrest him because he was dealing drugs. And of course he wasn't. But I actually don't know what happened because obviously I'm not a guard. I wasn't at the station. But I never heard whether they saw him come in and whether they rang the guards or whether there was any issues. But sure, look, I made sure he was on the radar of the manager anyway. And I was hoping maybe he wouldn't be let in or something like that. So, yeah, probably the height of pettiness and maybe a touch of craziness as well. But sure, look.
I mean, this guy could be doing 25 to life for not committing any sort of crime. How does one even go about impersonating a Garda? Like, just show up 2 hours after they were first called? I mean, what's the...
She seems a little posh to get away with that.
I mean...
There aren't many guards going, hi, how are you getting on? Like,
how are you lads? It's the guards.
Yeah, it's the guards here, great.
What's in the fucking bag?
There's a guy there that might do... And also, what is Class A?
Me as a guard, I would be the least threatening guard. I'd definitely be corrupt, let's be honest. Oh my God. Hello, yes, it's me, the Garda. How do I know it's the guards? Well, I'm just sitting here in my super dry jacket there with 17 zips using the pulse system to look up my Tinder matches. Nevertheless, there's a fella in your pub there, definitely a drug dealer. Like, why is the... anyway, yeah. What will I do about it? I'm just working here in the pub. Like, this seems definitely beyond my pay grade to be sort of interfering with potential huge drug dealers. Well, just give us a call there on 01265. Like, come on. I mean, look, it's very petty. It's a little bit insane. I think the most insane and petty thing that I've done recently, I So obviously me and Darren used to live in Dunleary in my apartment, right? There was a neighbour there that I didn't like. Okay. She was just really difficult. Like one of those, the WhatsApp group people, emails, like thought that because she had appointed herself the manager of the block, that meant her, like it was a real position, like the Taoiseach or something, you know? So anyway, we were watching the marathon this year in Castleknock. And I didn't end well with your one because she was really, she was made our move out really difficult, blah, blah, blah. Even though it's nothing to do with her. Anyway, you can tell I'm still vexed by this. And we're watching the marathon in Castleknock and all of a sudden Darren goes, oh, there's Marion, and starts waving. And Marion goes, oh, Mark, Darren, and looks over, waved at her. I blanked her. Completely blanked her. And Darren looked at me and was like, you're blanking someone when they're running a fucking marathon. Like, that is so pathetic.
Cold as ice.
And that's the game. Let's go.
I came home after work one day to find my boyfriend had become a born-again Christian. This meant separate beds and no sex before marriage. So as you can imagine, things fell apart quite quickly from there. To celebrate this new single godly chapter of his life, he decided to have a large house party with all his friends. He proceeded to order €300 worth of Domino's pizza on my credit card. Not very holy of him, but I suppose he took his first steps in feeding the 5,000.
Oh, very good.
€300 worth of Domino's.
Wow.
That's like 3 pizzas. Do you know what I mean? Domino's. Can we actually just... I feel like Domino's is something every reasonable adult grows out of.
Yeah, I think once you find a good one that isn't Domino's, there's no going back.
Because it's just a spherical... It really is just a spherical ball of grease. There's no self-hate, and boy knows I'm well versed in that, but there is no self-hate like the post-Domino's, sitting on the couch, your throat drier than Gandhi's undercarriage, surrounded by these red boxes sort of mocking you and the smell still emanating from them.
Shame, yeah.
It's just horrendous. It also was just so expensive. I think these days whenever I order a takeaway, which I haven't had one yet in 2025, let's go, but if I order a takeaway, the first 17 minutes of it is me trying to usurp their ordering system in order to get it cheaper.
Nice.
But they always get you. Like Domino's pizza will always get you. You go, okay, grand, there's 2 pizzas for $18.99. Great stuff, I'll get that. Would you like a garlic dip with that? Yes, that'll be €36. It's a complete and utter scam. They are robbing bastards. Back to the born again Christian. I'm interested in the fact that she says, she came home from work and he had become a born again Christian, as if it sort of happened, in between episodes of The Chase and Ringing Babe Station. Like, how does that happen that quickly?
Any news?
Yeah. There's definitely more than meets the eye. I mean, so they can't have sex before marriage. That's fine. I'd be interested in knowing, have they had sex already?
Yeah.
And then they're going back to no sex. As you say, then the pizza party, that sort of doesn't make any sense. I feel like there's more going on there than the Christianity. A person messaged me in yesterday and she was like, petty exes. Messaged my ex saying I needed to collect 2 dresses of mine, which were really nice, and I'd had them for years. Went over to the gaff and he was wearing one of them. Absolute dickhead. And I'm like, I don't know if that's petty.
That's not the first thing that would...
I feel like there's something else. Maybe.
Excuse me.
Yeah, if your ex is wearing your dress, it's probably something else. But nevertheless...
I think this man just wanted a lot of Domino's and he came up with a very convoluted reason.
It's an elaborate plan for a pizza party.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I was friends with this girl in college, going back 10, 12 years ago. She was going out with a fella. They were only together 3 or 4 months. It wasn't serious. She'd never met his family or anything. She was mad at him, but he broke it off with her. And he actually started seeing another girl that we were friendly with. So I think that's why the revenge started. But she was creeping on Facebook, found out that his mom was part of this local book club, joined the book club. And each person in the book club took a turn hosting a week in their house for the meeting. So anyway, she's gone 6, 7 times. Had become really friendly with his mom. So anyway, it came around to his mom's turn of hosting. So they were there for the book club, tea, scones, biscuits, the whole lot. And anyway, he landed home. And here she was sitting in his house with a load of women. The mother, big smiles for him, and he couldn't say, that's my ex-girlfriend. Or they weren't even girlfriend, boyfriend, but they couldn't say anything to her. And she became such good friends with his mom that they kept meeting up and hanging out, and then they started their own little friendship, going for coffee and stuff like that. And then I think it just fizzled out over a year or something, but she was always in his house. So much so that he'd ask his mum when the book club was on so that he'd avoid it, so he didn't have to see her and stuff. It was just mad. And actually, another part of that story was because her and the mom became such good friends. She like obviously started talking about like her dating life and blah blah. And the mom tried to set her up with the son, and obviously he was like, no, absolutely not. But yeah, that was so funny.
I mean, what is wrong with the son's communication issues here that the former groper is able to then become the interloper? All of this would be like wouldn't have happened if the son just on the very first day said, "Oh, mum, that's Tina, by the way. I was with her for 4 months. It makes you uncomfortable that she comes into the gaff. This is weird by her. Don't invite her over." Forget the fact that you're reading Mark Megan's This Is Not a Self-Help book, available now in all bookshops. I know it's a great aspect of the book club. #1 bestseller. Nevertheless, I just don't think that it's one conversation. How is he so bound by Irishness that he is incapable of going, "Mum, this is mental," you know? And then when they become friends, they didn't become friends. Unless... I mean, what would you do if...
Again, he's the issue here.
He is the issue.
She's obviously...
She's a loon.
A loon.
A complete loon.
To break it down medically.
Yeah.
But she is a lunatic. But I think he should have said it to the mother. If I walk in and my ex is sitting in the sitting room, it's like a movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Baby Reindeer.
Her head slowly just turns like a ventriloquist dummy.
Hello, Callum.
Hello, Callum. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm just here with your mother.
Yeah.
I would immediately bring it up with the mother. The fact that he didn't, I smell a rat.
I smell a complete rat. And I mean, unless was she seduced? It was the whole thing an effort to get under Mrs. Mulcahy's blouse and fondle her, you know, breasts. Maybe, I don't know. It's a very strange one. Like what was the end goal? I don't understand that. Let's go.
Hiya. So, anyway, he was going out with this guy for a long time. He had a very wandering eye. Loved himself. He would be ordering his shirts, handmade shirts from London and from Paris. Cost a bloody fortune. Thought he was gorgeous in them, but that was him anyway. So anyway, found out he was screwing around again, and that was the last straw. Waited until he was going to his football. I knew it wasn't football. I knew balls were going to be played, but it wasn't going to be football. As soon as he was gone out the door, went up the stairs with a very blunt knife, cut off the sleeve of every shirt in the wardrobe. Then I went to the washing machine and I cut off the sleeves of those shirts, put them back into the washing machine. I'm not a psycho, by the way, okay? Then that was fine. Got the rest of my stuff. I phoned her house, knowing that she wasn't there anyway, and had a lovely chat with her husband, filled him in on how long it was going on, everything. He was shocked, to say the least, so hung up from there. Then I was going out the door and I went back in. One more call. So I phoned the talking clock in Australia and I left the phone off the hook. So I had no idea what the phone bill was when he came in about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, that was it. But one thing is, Mark, I'm wondering, will you include me in that dating thing next weekend? I swear I'm not a psycho.
Oh my God.
God.
Okay, a lot to unpack.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
First and foremost, when you say I caught him screwing around again, that's the mistake. I mean, there's turning a blind eye, and then there's Andrea Bocelli trying to find a USB port for his iPhone charger at 3 a.m. in the dark.
Mark.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that is shocking. But surely once a cheater, always a cheater.
100%.
And I know that there are many convoluted and complex reasons as to why people are cheating. However, I feel like if somebody has the ability to cheat, they will do it again. Cutting the sleeves off of the wash and then continuing with the wash, sort of irrelevant, but I respect it. Calling the husband, I think absolutely that's okay to do.
Yeah.
I have no qualms with that. I think, damn right.
Why did she use a blunt knife?
The blunt knife is
That's
interesting.
the only thing that makes me kind of go, why would you make your life even harder?
You are suffering.
You're going through a tough time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'll do? I'll bring a blunt knife.
I'll get the teaspoon, Nana's teaspoon for whenever she's off
I've got
solids.
a whisk here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and whisk the sleeve off this shirt.
I mean,
that's what it sticks.
Speaking of, the expensive phone bill, brilliant. That's like really petty, and that's the level of pettiness that I'm all over. It made me think about, obviously growing up in the 90s and the early noughties, everybody had the house phone, the landline, and the quickest way to getting a smacked arse in my house growing up was obviously using the phone and them getting the bill. But you see, the thing about the phone bill was you didn't get it for like another 2 months.
I know.
So you knew it was going to be bad, but then you'd forget about it, go about your life, and you'd say, and you'd be gone. But I'll always remember one time I was about 14 years of age, right? And I got home from, I'm fairly sure it was my first night drinking, which is a longer story, but we'll buy the book. And we had gone to a free gaff and all the rest. Anyway, this was back in the day when you still had a curfew. So like you had to be home at 10 o'clock or something. So you just try and squeeze all of your drinking into a very short amount of time. Sort of happened at the end of my drinking as well. Nevertheless, I got home from this sort of like pre-drinking session or whatever in a field, and everybody in the house was in bed. And that's when I realised that this was my chance. I basically was sitting down in the living room, trousers around the ankles, watching the world famous, some of you will remember, it was a boutique little broadcast show on Sky Digital called Babe Station. Okay. God, fairly self-explanatory what Babe Station was. It was a station filled with babes, okay? Exactly. Topless chicks, basically, miming to the camera, call me, right? Call me. And then the idea is to get horny perverts at home, housebound horny perverts to rack up hugely expensive bills while they'd remove like one element of their bra or something. This was the sexual Everest teenage me wanted to climb, do you know what I mean? This was to speak to a scantily clad, heavily tattooed, busty camera model from Bradford and for her to mouth the words, call me. I'd never had the courage to ring up, obviously.
But fueled as you were.
Fueled as I was.
Old Somerset cider.
It was either the nagging of Smirnoff vodka or the 2 litres of Fanta Exotic that I chased it with, which were bringing me into a sugar-induced psychosis. But either way, there was a truncheon on me that was almost visible through my Oshkosh Bagyosh corduroys, right? So I sit down anyway and I'm wailing on myself on the couch, and then I pick up the phone and greasy little Megan mitts, I punch them into the thing. Like, we didn't even have a cordless phone. This was done via the wire. You know, you had to get the wire from the kitchen, drag it under the living room door, close the doors, trousers around the ankles, grand, TV on mute, but I can see her mouth and call me. Anyway, I get through, and I'm on hold for almost as long as trying to book a regular GP's appointment. Like, this is how long we're talking. And then eventually it happens and my heart starts fucking palpitating. I can see the woman on the screen. She goes, how you doing, big boy? What's your name? And like, I just absolutely panic. And I'm like penis in the left hand, phone in the right. And I'm just like,
in the middle with you, yeah.
Ireland. She just goes, Orlando. I love a good foreign name. Where are you from, Orlando? Spain? Greece? And I was like, St. Michael's College. And it was a complete disaster. I was failing and floundering, and I just knew there was like the makings of a smirk on her face, and I was deflating quickly downstairs. So I knew I had to do. She was like, so what do you want to know, Orlando? And she looks longingly down the lens and sort of like rubs her, like squeezes her arms together, you know, making the, you know, drawing attention to her chest. Anyway, to this day, I cringe when I tell you what happened next. Just as I'm about to say, like, go and get your fucking tits out or something like this, a third voice comes on the phone.
Oh no, please God, no. No.
Mark, I think you should hang up this call and go to bed, Lovey.
Oh, Jesus, no.
Lovey.
Oh, God.
Don't call me Lovey in front of the boobs person, Mum. Mum had been upstairs, heard some sort of commotion on the phone, picked up, heard me being absolute Captain Pervert. Orlando down Blum and looking at the camera models again. And she's upstairs. I then had to go to bed and pass my mother's bedroom, hearing her give out to the woman on Sky Digital for taking her son's money.
Oh, God, please, Mark.
And that's the game, baby.
I am now a born-again Christian.
Okay, it's the roast of petty exes, my friends. I hope if you've been subjected to mistreatment or odd treatment or off treatment or any form of unwanted, unsolicited treatment by an ex, I hope you feel slightly better after hearing some of these petty misdeeds, shall we say. If you're enjoying the show, let me know on Instagram at Megan Mark. I love hearing from you. So shoot me a message. Let me know what parts you enjoy. Let me know if you have any suggestions for future roasts. Truly, thank you all so much for your support last year. On to the next year. Lots of very, very, very excited. I'll be delighted to announce, etc., stuff in the pipeline. You'll be hearing about it very soon. But first, and without any further... Oh, sorry, actually. Did you all enjoy the quiz last week? Lots of people messaged me, but nobody got 20 out of 20. There's a bonus quiz that's part of the podcast going out at the end of every month. It's called Good Stuff. So if you missed the January Good Stuff quiz, go back and give it a listen, and it's family friendly. So if you've kids in the car, it's totally above board. Now, let's get back to something that's very much below board. It's the roast of petty exes. I'm here with my man Ed Smith. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey Mark, so I have a really good one. Okay, so I basically a few years ago, well, it's actually 6 years ago now, me and this guy that I was seeing at the time booked to go away for the weekend to Kilkenny, and all's well and good, everything's going great, looking forward to it. It was a couple of days before said event. I was in work, obviously lunchtime came around, checking my phones, all these notifications being like, there's been an amendment on your booking, and then a Google notification to say that like a new device logged into my emails, and I was like, this is fucking weird. Obviously thought it was getting hacked. So I went into my Google, and the general location of where it was logged into was my ex-boyfriend's general area. So I was like, oh my God, he's clearly gone on to like a psychopath mode. So then the hotel called me, and there was like 3 or 4 different date changes of the booking, and then eventually was a cancellation. So they were ringing me to be like, is everything okay? So clearly I was like, I'm not trying to cancel it, but yeah, it was him, and I called him on my house phone because he had my number blocked, absolute weapon. But anyways, he pretty much denied everything, even though like caught red-handed. But I guess joke's on him. Still with that guy, and we have a kid together and stuff now. So yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Brilliant. Love it. Revenge.
Nice ending.
What did he think was going to happen?
What's the end game there?
Like, does he think that she's going to go, oh, do you know what? Seamus, I've just realised the booking's been cancelled by my ex. Why don't we not go to Kilkenny now that booking has been cancelled? And actually, we should probably sack off this entire relationship. And I think I might get back with my ex.
Yeah.
He seems like a reasonable, well-adjusted fellow. Do you know what I mean? It's completely insane. It's like, what do these people... It's like, I used to always ask, like, creeps in bars, right? When a creep is in a bar and sees another creep in a bar, does he look at that creep and go like, you dirty bastard?
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
Or does he go like, Senan, how are you? They would have. Senan is such a creep name.
Oh, it has to be.
Senan's real like, I'm a teaching assistant in Trinity. I've an ego the size of Trinity.
Oh.
And I send messages to girls on Bumble when they reject me saying like, well, you've clearly never read Proust.
Senan.
Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this is just completely... This guy cancelling the ex's booking. I love, excuse me, I love the pettiness, but it's so farcical. It's just not necessary. Do you know what else is not necessary?
Oh, God.
Do you know what else, Ed Smith, is just not necessary?
1 second, let me have a sip of my coffee.
Have a sip.
Go on, hit me.
Wrap it around the milk.
No, you won't take coffee from me.
Sweet cart. Sweet carts at weddings.
Oh.
I am just, whenever we were getting married, people going, oh, will you be having a sweet cart? No, of course not. We're not trying to lure in students from the local bun school. Do you know what I mean? I'm not John Wayne Gacy. Why the hell do I need to have of course we won't be having a sweet cart. Unless everybody in attendance has regressed in age like a sort of reverse version of Benjamin Button or that probably now problematic movie Jack with Robin Williams.
Yeah, it hasn't aged.
It hasn't aged well. Incidentally, unlike Jack in... Anyway, we'll give them starters, desserters and a main course. Maybe some petit fours afterwards, which nobody's ever heard of, and we'll never hear of petit fours again, only at weddings, and they'll mostly go unignored. Are you sure about the sweet cart? Yeah, can I just ask why we'd have the sweet cart though? Oh, it's just a bit of a fun thing to do, a bit of nostalgia. Nostalgia for when though?
I think I knew when Ireland was taking a wrong course in its direction with donut walls.
Oh my Do you know what I mean, though?
What is happening?
Oh, but it's like, do you know what? It's like those American shops they have in Dublin, which are definitely money laundering fronts, but it's like €55 for a bar of Hershey's that tastes like a dead man's foot, or 17 quid for a packet of Twizzlers, which tastes like the equivalent of a Stuart Mackey reel, given the concentrated amount of shite in it. But look, sweet carts at weddings, they're as irrelevant as your mad friend from the year that you went on Erasmus. Do you know what I mean? Nobody wants to sit beside Olivia from Utrecht, who plays the ukulele and has green hair. Do you know what I mean? Her version of Jason Mraz, I'm Yours, makes me want to put a tricolour in my bio and steal a pair of Air Force Ones from Foot Locker during civil unrest. So... Can we actually be honest for a second here?
Oh.
Okay, buying a ukulele is the first footstep on the Camino of becoming insufferable. It is like to tip your toe in the water in the ocean of annoying character traits. Nobody has ever heard a song in the world and gone, do you know what that needs? That needs a ukulele version.
More uke.
When they were in the studio, do you think they went, the lads in Riptide or whatever they went, Riptide, what's that song? Anyway, Riptide going, do you know what, we should get that. We should get an Irish guy to do the version of that on the ukulele. Lady running. They also sing like that when they do ukulele versions. They, lady running down to the Riptide, taken away from the dark side. I want to be your left-hand man.
Please stop that noise.
I love you. Like, why do they all sing like this, like, taken away from the dark side? I got a
slightly constipated.
It's like that. I got a lump in my throat. Throat? What the hell is it? Are you trying to say thyroid and throat at the same time? Just because Dermot Kennedy coined the hard R doesn't mean that every guy in a bar with a guitar needs to adopt it. You need a foot up the arse, and you need to...
A hard arse.
A hard arse. You need a foot up the ass, and you are playing the guitar like a good boy. We just won't get into. Anyway, I don't want to sit beside Olivia from Utrecht.
Leave Olivia alone. She's flown from Utrecht for your wedding.
You know, like
dyed her hair.
You're probably like that as well. You probably always get sat because you're a character.
I'm the one that the people get sat beside.
This is it. Well, I'm that as well. But for years I was like, oh look, they've stuck me with the loons just to entertain them. No, Mark, it's because you're a loon. You'll overshare for the first 7 minutes, get really bored, and then just turn your shoulders to them for the rest of the night.
Say like, oh, there's always one really annoying jackass at every wedding. I haven't met them yet. You're going, oh,
that's me.
It's me.
That's me. Oh, like, hey Olivia, how's it going, Mark? Oh, so something Samuel told me you've never been to Belgium, no? You don't like chocolate? Olivia, I'm going to level with you, okay? I have no interest in this. I just don't. Like, I wish you could say that to someone at a wedding going, listen, Harry, you're probably lovely. I know you're related to the bride. None of us needs to do this. We don't need to do any of this. You don't care what I do for a living. I don't care what you do for a living. Do you know, there's absolutely, you work in pharmaceuticals, great stuff, more power. Oh, you're involved in the COVID and they think, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I don't care. Where's the petty fours? Let's go.
Stop it. Stop it.
When I broke up with my ex, I had his email address, so I signed him up to every gay website going, and every newsletter I could, anything I could find online. Now, whether or not he's seen any of it, I don't know. Obviously he has loads of emails, but yeah, I just signed him up to everything. I just thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Okay, so my perspective on this is, I'm going to be brutally honest, this is petty, but I do also think it's ineffective. I mean, signing him up to the gay website as if his sexual preferences are going to be immediately influenced by his internet subscriptions. You know, if it's that case, maybe he is gay. In which case, it's not a punishment. I don't really see the downside of being subscribed to, you know, to a gay newsletter or a gay web. It's not like by you signing him up, he's all of a sudden going to have to participate or reenact any of the material. Do you know, it's not like, oh, look, I've been signed up to the South Dublin gay sex website, Dudes and Doobs. It looks like I'll be filming in Foxrock on Friday. You know, that's not going to, oi, dorky dick. Do you know what I mean? That's not, now that I'm an active member, I suppose I'll have to get active with my member and seeking and sucking other members. You know, this is not how it works. I feel like it's ineffective.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she was trying to achieve there, but do you know who that might have worked on?
Who?
The born again Christian.
Very true.
That man sounds quite gullible and easy to flow with the wind. I think if he got to send a few of those websites, he'd be like, do you know what? She comes home from work I'm gay now.
Yeah.
And I'm ordered pizzas.
There's pizzas involved.
Pizzas on the way.
Yeah, pizzas. Everything will be fine. We'll just get the pizzas. Let's go.
Hi Mark, yeah, love your pod. Please disguise my message for this. Yeah, so on the topic of breakup pettiness, so I broke up with this guy that I was seeing for maybe 4 or 5 months, but he was way more into it than I was. So basically when we broke up, he continuously rang the ward where I was working as a nurse at the time and kept asking for me, and it was getting to the point then where he decided then to tell whoever answered the phone that I had picked up a contagious STD and that I was probably danger to the patients that I was looking after. So yeah, that was fun. And then at the end of it all, then he arrived at my house to pick up his Kean CD. Yeah, please, really keen. It was never going to last. And as he did, he ran out of the house and in earshot of my housemates said he was glad it was over because I was really boring in bed anyway. Yeah, so that was fun. P.S. I'm not boring in bed, but that's a different story. Okay, bye-bye.
Wow.
A bit of spice at the end there. Nevertheless, I don't really understand the ringing of the hotel, and I suspect he doesn't have an advanced knowledge on medicine.
This is not a man in control of the situation, I don't think.
But what sort of STI could the patient, unless she's doing minge to mouth resuscitation, what sort of STI? That is a thing, isn't it?
Oh, God.
On Babe Station.
It seems very 90s, what you've just said somehow. Minge to mouth, love. Would you like a bit of minge to mouth?
It's a horrific word, but I'll persist with it. Ringing up, you get to the main control of a hospital. Yeah, hello, St. Michael's, Dunleary. Hi, I'd like to get through to whatever ward she's in. Orthopedics. Cool. That's transfer to number 6, please. Phone rings for ages. Hello. Hiya, Declan here from Westmeath. Sorry, are you a patient today? Are you calling about a patient we have here? No, you know Anya. She's your shift worker. She's doing, yeah. I gave her herpes. Like, how does that conversation go? Not only how does it go more than once? Surely the next time he rings, blocked, barred, gone. And
he thought, if there was like when you ring the switchboard, you can press 1 for herpes.
Yeah.
2 for gonorrhea.
Anger is, as we know, is always easier than sadness. Anger is it's a perfect emotion to disguise how you really feel. But just accept that it's over.
And I didn't like the Kean slander.
Did you not?
No.
I was a fan of that.
I'm back with Kean.
I remember I was in Brighton when I was in music college. This is a true story. And it was my first day, and there was a lecturer who subsequently became my mentor. He's an unbelievably good guy. Steve Hillier, his name is, he was in Dubstar. He created Dubstar back in the 80s.
Brilliant.
But he played us a bunch of music on the first day and was like, want to dissect all of the songwriting here. And one of the songs that he played was Crystal Ball by Kean.
Okay.
And he was like, lyrics went up on a projector, and in front of the whole lecture hall, he was like, what does everybody think of this? And he played like a bunch of different songs. And I just put my hand up, old classical precocious Megan at the age of 19, thinking he knew the world. Little did I know I was drowning inside. Nevertheless, I put the paw up and I was like, that song is the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard in my life. The lyrics are so jaded and nonsensical. It's not even pop music. They're meaningless drivel. It means nothing. You have to be a total personality-less bore to even find those powerful. And then the card flips and it just goes, written by Steve Hillier. Like, humiliating.
No.
So, just so embarrassing. But that's the game. That is the game. I do think somebody slagging somebody else, or, somebody calling someone bored in bed even though they listen to Kean, that's like somebody wearing Veha runners having a go at a person wearing an Anina Bing jumper for being basic. Do you know what I mean? They cancel each other out. Shouting in front of the housemates, boring in bed, is just...
Oh, it's so lame.
Grow up. It's like, I've told this story 500 times in the podcast, but it's like whenever I was 14 and I received my first bit of physical contact with the woman, and she then broke up with me the day afterwards and told everyone I had a small willy, and I was like, I'm 14 years of age.
Come on now.
How big is my willy supposed to be? What were you expecting? Do you know what I mean? I'm literally 14. It's, I think, perfectly normal for my penis to be that size.
And as
you
a
know?
46-year-old woman,
yeah.
you know better.
And I was 35, I can tell you, and it's the same size, and it's all fine. Anyway, let's go.
So we were in a pub drinking, and all foreigners in Ireland, and we were talking about what was the reason we moved abroad. And one of us, he mentioned that he moved abroad because of his stepmom. So we were thinking some sort of evil stepmom situation is going on in there. And then he was like, "Oh no, it's because my ex-girlfriend became my stepmom." We all just fell into complete silence and waiting for him. And he says they were together for 2.5 years, and he realized they're not really for each other, so he decided to end the relationship. So the girl got mad and asked so many times to get back together. He doesn't want to do that, so he said everything's finished and I'm okay with not being in a relationship with you. So she went back behind his back, I guess, got together with the dad, and within 6 months they got married. On separate note, that being complete nut job as well. Apparently it's his 5th marriage, and he's not even sure if it's going to be his last marriage. So that's that. Yeah, so that's the reason he moved abroad. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, strap yourself in, Ed.
Okay.
There's a lot for us to get through here. But you know what I'd like to say first? Whenever I hear a unique accent on the podcast,
I was just thinking this.
I feel like Kofi Annan. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the creative director of a Benetton advert in the 90s. I'm a man. Do you know, there is every different... The one thing about the Weekly Roast, which we have to respect, is there is every different type of voice on. And like, I get, as some of you will know, like, I get a lot of grief for my accent. Whenever my name gets mentioned in the press, the accent is like, I think it's both the accent and the fact that I don't beg for forgiveness for being born where I was born. And that's fine. People hate the accent. There's nothing I can do. But I can't control how I sound. Do you know what I mean? I was born the way, like, my voice is because of where I'm from, but I can control the things that I say. But I would always take a bad accent over somebody modifying or adapting their voice in order to come across as more relatable.
I get you.
And sort of pandering to the authenticity is everything. Like, I was talking to somebody about this on the weekend. There's a new type of Irish creative and sort of actor type doing the rounds, where they say words like brogue and marn. Have you noticed? You see them on Instagram, and they sort of like, they wear like they're sort of the Guinnessy sort of style guy, and they sort of like, they say the words like brogue, and they're actors, and they talk like, and do you walk the boards yourself, Ed? Sorry? I did a turn for old man Bishop in the Abbey recently. I played a gravedigger who fell in love with the moon. And in the witching hours, when the souls come alive, I jump between the stars and fall into her eyes. Sorry, what the fuck are you? It's a daft old yarn, really. As mad as a childless ghoul or a century-old curse. But he knows how to move me, old Bishop, you know. Are you beating the wolf away from the door yourself? You grew up in Rathmines and you went to Clongowes Wood College. You know, you threatened to glass me outside Pygmalion in 2007 for holding a door open for your girlfriend. This, you know, keeping the wolf away. I'll have a drop of the old Ishkava if you have it there going.
A drop of the crater.
A drop of the crater. Me legs are bet off me. You did a high rocks class, brother.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You work in LinkedIn. This voice, 'tis a perfect day for a glass of stout. You're going to a Six Nations match.
I'm splitting the G.
Yeah, the splitting of that's probably, I'm glad I got sober.
Yeah.
That's why
You got out just in time.
got out just in time. Now, if I was to go back... No, I'm joking. These Irish actors... Anyway, okay, sorry, that's all irrelevant. Let's get into this. Would you like to start? Would you like me to...
Could I just say something?
Yes, please do.
Sight unseen, I would marry that woman just on her voice alone.
Yes.
It's a trip around the world, that accent. You wouldn't have to leave your house, but she has one of the most beautiful voices you've ever featured on this podcast.
Very true.
I absolutely loved it. What's going on there is it's a whole soap opera.
The dad is hideous. The dad, at the fifth marriage, you've got to stop.
Not even sure if it's going to be his last.
You're not even sure. I was at my grandmother died last Sunday, right? And I was out at the funeral last Wednesday, and I was doing the usual funeral stuff and meeting people, and I got introduced to a distant relative, and then he was talking about he had flown in from overseas, and he said, and he gestured over and he goes, to Sarah, my current wife.
Oh, he said it.
Current wife.
In real life.
And I made the joke, and I said, are you planning on getting the next one? As in, she's just temporary, just making light of it. And he was like, well, she's my current wife. He didn't get the gag. But referring to somebody as your current wife, I feel is sloppy, like. Do you know what I mean?
It's like he got her out in PCP.
Yeah. This is my current wife, thinking of upgrading in January.
I have 1 more year left on the contract.
Yeah, need to do a bit of cleaning of the back.
If I hand it back in good nick, I'll get my deposit.
God.
Oh, God.
I mean, okay, the dad is definitely to blame. The girl, I'm interested in why she played to get back with this person. Like, it sounds fake. This sounds so surreal and farcical. And, like, this sounds like a plot line for Fair City, but they dropped because it was too outrageous. They sort of said, listen, we can't do that. Well, instead, we'll have a guy coming back. Do you know what I mean? That is you on you.
Sennin.
You were away studying the books.
Tis a soft mist that
you were reading
brings no morn.
Tis a soft morn. You were reading the book of Kells. Any yarn's been spun by the man with a gun. Anyway, I think it's all insane. The whole paternal thing. This father doesn't have a paternal bone in his body. He's got a different type of bone in his body 5 times at least. It's completely and utterly bananas. How would that work at Christmas? Good God, I'm so sorry for pretty much everybody in that scenario.
It's so obvious what she's doing.
What do you think she's doing?
Well, obviously it's revenge.
Yeah.
It's replacement. It's projection. It's all your basic couch psychology tropes here. But did he go to the wedding?
Did he do a reading?
Did he do a reading?
Do you know what I mean?
A letter from St. Paul.
The best man speech.
To Dr. Phil.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hi, Mark. Love the podcast. First and foremost, Kieran, is he single? I saw your post there last week. I love a man in a pair of glasses, and I see he's good and tall as well. So let me know. Anyway, he can milk me if he likes. So about 10 years ago, I was seeing a fella, and I thought it was all going well. We probably ridden about 4 times. It's just bit of crack, but I was kind of thinking this is going somewhere, and he ghosted me. And I was fair raging about it, but anyway, I've kind of let it go. Came home for Christmas last year and was coming home from a night out, and you know yourself, when nature calls, you must answer. Car pulled in and realised I was about 100 yards from his front garden. So I took a shit in the bush outside his house.
What?
This isn't petty at all. This isn't petty revenge on an ex taking a dump in his garden 10 years after the fact. This is, hold on to your hat, my friend, derangement levels of insanity. Good. This isn't petty. This is potty. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Wow. She was holding that in all those years.
Firstly, no, Kieran's not single, by the way. He's married. And secondly, I thought it was going well. We'd ridden about 4 times. That's the barometer. Not like we've been seeing each other for X amount of time. Just we'd ridden 4. It's the volume of riding. It was touch and go at 3, but after 4, then you're on even footing. Do you know what I mean? And then, okay, so let's just think about this. You break up. Grant, that's sad. Sorry to hear about you. 10 years later, you're driving along in a car, by the way, and you're hurtling through the night and you need to do a shite and you can't hold it in till you get home, so you stop. You still somehow, by the way, manage to run a literal Olympic length of 100 meters, okay? So you can do the The fucking Oscar Pistorius. No. Oh, no.
The Pool Olympics.
The Pool Olympics, better, safer. Safer to say Pool Olympics than anything related to Oscar
Thank you.
Pistorius. Unless, of course, no. Nevertheless, she's able to run 100 metres to then defecate across the daffodils. This is insanity. And surely the risk of being caught. It's like, imagine the ignominy of being caught crouching down with a leaf, bushes and shrubs rubbing off your arse and going, yeah, that's what you get for not.
Ultimately, she's providing fertilizer and manure for his plants.
This is true.
Not in the long term, he's going to benefit from this.
10 years later, this is like whenever we went to Seville last year and I put up a thing on Instagram asking people for suggestions, and a girl goes, be very careful there, went to Seville in 2013 with the hubby, got food poisoning, absolute shithole. What?
Yeah.
Thanks
a million.
2013.
Yeah.
12 years ago, you went and got food poisoning in one restaurant, and as a result, you're writing off the entire city. Good God. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the roast of petty exes. If you're enjoying the show, let me know on Instagram at Megan Mark. And as always, it'd be great if you could just subscribe to the podcast here, wherever you listen to your podcast. It's hugely appreciated and makes all the difference. Now, look, we're here at the final section. Let's get into it.
Hi Mark, love the pod. So the pettiest thing that I've ever done post breakup would be I found out my boyfriend of, I think it was 2 years, was cheating on me with a ton of other people. So broke up, very upset and all the rest, typical breakup stuff. Went on a night out within that week and saw his best friend from a distance. Decided that is where I'm going to shoot my shot. So went over, got with his best friend, spent several hours with him, and took a selfie of the two of us, sent it directly to my ex, and then also put it up on Facebook with a smiley face, because I was just thinking, do you know what? Fuck you. I would like to say that I'm not part of that moment, but do you know what? Fucking me, there's bollocks anyway.
I mean,
That's so beautifully Irish.
just speaking of cheating, right? Remember a friend of mine got caught cheating years ago. We went on a golf trip to Killarney when we were 20 or something, and he got caught cheating. He ended up sleeping with the receptionist of the hotel who checked us in and checked him out. And it turns out that the waitress or the receptionist friend was a sister of a girl who was in college with his girl. It's Ireland, do you know what I mean? Everybody knows everybody in some shape or form who knew the girlfriend. Anyway, word got back to Dublin over the weekend and he was done. And that's the game. And that's what you get. You cheat, you got caught, it's over. And he arrived back to Dublin with his tail between his legs and none of us heard from him for about a week. And then a few days later, I got a call and it was like, a couple of weeks later, whatever. And it was like, yeah, listen, that's, the sort of forlorn South Dubliner, listen, that was awful, but fortunately, Ciara's given me another chance and I've really learned a lot from this. And I was like, okay, good stuff. I suppose, it's her choice. So what did you learn? And there's a pause and then he just goes, next year we'll do the trip in Spain. And he burst out laughing. And I laughed with him, but I hated myself for it. Cheaters will always get caught. Now, this girl, okay, I don't know how I feel about this.
When she says she got with the best friend, is that when they just hung out in the...
No, I think she means that they hooked up, they rode. There was riding. I don't know if it was 4 times. I don't know if they were that sure of their relationship. Okay. But they rode. I don't know if the picture was just her with the arm around. I don't know what the sort of nature of the picture is.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a hurt, as they say, as we know, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
Very true.
Hurt people ride people.
Hurt people ride people. As the old adage goes.
Yeah, is that Shakespeare? I think.
Yeah. Hurt people, but oftentimes hurt people ride people. And they do. And I feel like it's a senseless act of revenge. I don't know if it's petty. It's a significant thing, but, you know, anger is the easiest emotion.
Anger is an energy.
That's it. It's a doing feeling.
And plus, he's best mate. What's he at?
Again, it's just like the father in the previous situation. Who are these shitheads, or are Ed? Is this just a massive learning curve that, unfortunately, men across the world are so unrelentingly horny at all times forever? They're constantly willing to erode any relationship or friendship bridge with anybody in their lives if it means them getting their end away.
That's it.
It's a sad state of affairs for the modern man.
Story as old as time.
So, Ciara's actually giving me another chance. Do you fancy going out to Pig tonight? I think a few of the Munkers girls are heading in. Let's go.
Hey Mark, absolutely love the pod. I could honestly write a book on pettiness that I have endured over the years. My ex, when I was in my 20s, decided to drop my stuff up immediately and left it at my mom's house. And on the top of the bag of stuff, he left like a few like loose condoms for her to see. But most recently, I think it would get better in your 30s, but I was seeing a guy. Now I should have realised and ran a mile when he rang his mother while we were lying in bed after doing the deed. However, I stuck around for some more torture. And when I decided obviously to call it a day, he texted me and threatened to report me to social services because I wouldn't go out with him anymore. So, safe to say he is blocked and in the bin.
Oh my God.
What's that phone call to social services?
Well, I mean, is there a chunk of the story missing? I feel like...
What?
Hello, is that social services? Yes. Hi, I'd like to report Una Muldown.
She won't write me anymore.
She's from Drumcondra. She's refusing to be in a relationship with me. We'll be right over. To confiscate her. Do you know what I mean?
It's like doxing or something. It's like, what are they going to do?
We got a lot of that yesterday. A lot of people messaging saying that their partner, as an act of revenge, reported them for undeclaring money to the social services and having a job but still taking, you know, all this. It's all very messy. I feel like we should start with the condoms on the bag. Check these out, Mrs. Donnelly. I've been fornicating with your child. We won't be needing those anymore. Like, what's the boat?
There's also a Helly Hansen fleece, the oven dish you dropped over with the nachos that time with the guacamole for New Year's, and a couple of pairs of tracksuits. Like, what's the flex of putting a smattering of Johnnies on top of the Jansports? Do you know what I mean?
Your daughter's a hooah.
Yeah. We've had protected sex over the don't know why that accent, but you know, we've had protected sex and we won't be having it anymore. It's not really a huge win for Dermot. Do you know what I mean?
Dermot, it's definitely Dermot.
It's such a Dermot move.
It's such a Dermot move.
It's real Dermot on the way to training. Yeah, I'll see if I've time to drop off
Dermot,
or shit.
good luck.
Just like one of those lads. Yeah, I don't know. He always has a banana skin in his car.
Absolutely.
Shoved down the side. Lazy ass. That doesn't make any sense. Do you know what also doesn't make any sense? And it's a little bit of a tangent. People tagging airlines in their Instagram stories these days. What is that? As if they're going to get a handwritten thank you letter from the ghost of Amelia Earhart or Michael O'Leary. Like, what? Thanks, cheers, Aer Lingus, for the lift. For the lift? The actual cringe of that. Thanks for getting me home safely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I totally appreciate customer satisfaction and I'm all over public displays of gratitude and affection. But let's not lie to ourselves. Like, cheers for the lift at Aer Lingus. You're on a mid-morning 45-minute flight to London Stansted. You haven't circumvented Cape Verde in a shopping trolley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same sort of people who, another flex, that's the humble brag that I really don't like. They post when they're in like a 5-star hotel, right?
Yeah. But
then they say, back in my happy place.
Oh, okay.
So it's not enough for them to go to the nice place. We have to associate them with the nice place. They have to exert a bit of ownership over the experience. Do you know what I mean? It's not just I'm doing a nice thing. It's I always do nice things. I do so many nice things that this is just my this is a run-of-the-mill thing for me. It's a nice thing for you poor punters looking at me doing the nice thing.
I've been here before.
I've been here loads of times. Yeah. Look, that's Alejandro, the non-English speaking waiter who I record on Instagram without his consent every time he pours me a glass of champagne. He doesn't know how to do anything other than to politely smile as I shove this fucking camera in his mush and go, so Alejandro, back again.
I've been here before, haven't I? Just tell them I have.
And he just goes, yes, miss, because he's been paid to do that. He doesn't want to do that. Nevertheless, moving on, the man in bed, post-coital phone conversation to the mum is a chapter straight from the book of Oedipus. That is, you know, like, do you want to...
Imagine if he said it like they just had sex and he goes, oh, that reminds me, I must ring Mam.
Yeah. Like, oh God. Is it the sort of...
Oh, jeez, I haven't rang Mam, that's right.
The sort of like and then the stay in for a few extra seconds so it doesn't seem like you're being unromantic, and then I'm just going to put your todger away. As, let's be honest, okay? Every man listening to this podcast, or every woman who has had sex with a man, or every man who's had sex with a man, everybody is having sex, right? I signed up to these websites recently, by the way. So, nevertheless, a man post-coital, okay, nude, lying horizontal, it's not the most erotic of images.
No.
The deflating todger, you know, at a quicker rate than your crypto shares. Do you know what I mean? Like the sort of, when you're lying and the todger is going from, you know...
Stop saying todger.
It's going...
I will put money into your Revolut right now if you stop saying todger.
The penis very quickly betrays you, though. It does. It goes from like, this is it. Mark's a man. This is what I can do. Pummel, you know, he's got all the power. He's a ferocious lover. This is perfect, to, oh, you look like a stud-on Froob at the bus stop. Do you know what I mean? Just this sad little withered, like an unwatered slug or something, just like wilting, dehydrated, like down, gone, withered, bung, gone, dead. Good luck. That's the end of it. And then you just go, yeah, I'm just going to ring Mum. Mum, how's it going? Do you remember Babe Station by any chance? Let's go.
Hi, Mark. I'll try and keep this as brief as possible, but I was dating somebody for a long time and we decided to take a break. And on that break, I decided to go out. Well, I went out on a few dates with a guy that I worked with. The guy that I worked with said to me he was going away. And at the time I was like, oh, where? Australia or South America? And it turns out he was going to Mountjoy because he'd been caught with €1 million worth of drugs. So suffice to say that didn't last and I got back with my ex. But while I was back with my ex, after about a year, I started getting text messages from a number I didn't have on my phone. And it was jokes and just funny stuff. And turns out it was my friend in the joy. So I was answering back, but it was actually very innocent. No word of a lie. But my boyfriend at the time knew I'd gone on a date with this guy and wasn't happy about it on the break. So he was like, who's on the phone? And I was like, oh, nobody you know. And he said, well, let me see. And I was like, absolutely not. It's my phone, you nutcase. And he was winding me up and giving out and asking to see the phone. In any case, he went to the bathroom. And while he was in the bathroom, I just decided to annoy him and I deleted... Oh, I feel bad saying this now. Deleted everything off his Sky, and because he was really getting on my nerves. But anyway, long story short, I said, right, I'm heading off home. I was taking the remote control with me to, really annoy him. And when I left, I realised I didn't have my phone. So I went back and said, can I have my phone, please? And he said, oh, absolutely, no problem. And proceeded to take my phone apart and my SIM card. So we obviously didn't last the course either. And there's that little story, if you can even use it.
I'm a little bit scared.
Wow.
I am a little bit swallowing SIM cards. What is this? An episode of Kin.
And in 10 years' time, he went to her garden and shat it out.
Like, oh, love, you're not still loitering around those ex-cons, are you? No, I'm not. I'm loitering around current cons. Literal, presently incarcerated individuals. This is derangement levels. I mean, if that guy in jail was texting her off an iPhone Pro Max, he'll probably never walk again.
But there's a man who would have snuck a SIM card into prison.
That's what I'm saying. The Pro Max, never walk again.
Oh,
I was doing the arse gag, so just a world classic.
I stepped on your arse gag.
Do you know what I mean, though? It's completely... I am reluctant to make any sort of swipes and or snipes at men caught with €1 million drug hauls, because that's just a world I don't want to walk in no more, okay? But, I mean, how did that conversation go on the first date? So, do you fancy maybe second date? We go for a walk, grab a dinner? Oh, actually, I'm heading away for a bit. Oh, really? I love travel. I'm such a travel addict too. I went to London 3 years ago and I like Instagram reels, do you know? Well, actually, I'm heading away. Where are you heading to?
Do you know the North Circular?
Yeah. Have you ever, like, oh my God. I also, like, what the other guy then, let's be honest, he can't be too far away from a life of Reuben Carter, if he's familiar with swallowing. The swallowing of a SIM card is an instinctual response by somebody who has a criminal record.
Why?
If you're swallowing SIM cards, I'm going to proffer that you've never been within 100 metres of an examination centre.
If that's your go-to,
you know what I mean?
Swallow SIM card.
You have more penalty points on your driving licence than you got in the leaving if you are swallowing SIM cards. Swallowing SIM cards is the diet of the deranged.
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
You know,
why did she take the remote?
That's like the remote and the deletion of his Sky, his Ross Kemp anthology. Do you know what I mean? Ross Kemp on gangs, not to be confused with the other one that the lady subscribed her boyfriend to, Ross Kemp on Wangs. Ooh, no, you can't. But like, this is all absolutely terrifying. Good luck.
So after my friend broke up with her boyfriend, we were all out one night. And we were in a taxi on our way home and we wanted more drink and we had none in any of our houses. So she still had the key to her ex-boyfriend's house. So we decided to go there, use her key, get into the house and steal a load of alcohol. So we got there, we opened the front door, we tripped over a load of bin bags that were in the hall. We went into the kitchen, we grabbed all the alcohol bottles we could find along with someone's protein powder. I don't know how nobody in the house woke up because about 5 or 6 people lived there. Also 2 big dogs. I think we managed to all trip over the bags on our way back out again as well. Not only that, one of the girls had brought a fella home in the taxi and he had proceeded to take a piss outside the front of the house, and we were all convinced the guards were going to find us and track his DNA in the piss and figure out that it had been us in the house to steal the alcohol. But it transpired that this hadn't been the first time she had used her key to get into his house. I bumped into one of the roommates a few weeks later and she told me, did you hear what Sarah had done recently? And I was like, no, what happened? And she was like, oh, well, after a night out, Brian came home and found her in his bed. And we were like, oh, that's mad. And not only that, apparently after he kicked her out, he discovered she'd stolen his watch. So I was like, oh God, so apparently she'd been going in stealing stuff. This wasn't the first time, but luckily we never got caught. And the taxi driver was only too happy to help us and be our getaway driver. I thought he might be a bit more concerned about it, but he wasn't. But yeah, that's my friend's crazy ex story.
It's like that Michelle Obama quote. When they go low, you rob their gaff and their protein powder. I mean, the DNA piss tracking, just how advanced do they think the technology is in the Garda? Do you know what I mean? Like, my cousin's house got robbed recently. They caught the person on the Ring doorbell. They have an internal Google Nest camera as well. They caught them on 2 cameras. They were thus able to identify him as the local loon from the town, okay? They know where he lives. Some of their belongings are literally tracked on Find My iPhone to your man's gaff, and they still can't get anything to happen.
What?
Like, nothing is happening.
Why?
Apparently, I don't know what the rules are.
Oh my God.
But they're just like, this is a disaster. We just have to let the shit go.
Did he piss outside the house?
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Then it would have been the end of it. This is completely, oh my God, sorry. This is so insane. I've got a good one for you.
God, I'm scared.
I was with my physio recently. Now, I will not tell you her name just on the off chance they don't want the story going out. Her car got robbed recently, right? She's in the house with her husband. Electric car got robbed. Obviously nightmare. Call the police. Whatever. They have the car tracker.
Yeah.
It's in a house in Blanche.
Why?
The guard's like, can't do anything.
Why?
You have to ring up the boys in Temple Moor. We have a lot of Garda listeners. Maybe they can answer. I think I don't know what. But anyway, they couldn't. They weren't able to do anything, even though they're like, we know where the car is.
The car.
We can see where the car is.
Yeah.
They then got an update on the phone to say that the car had left Blanche, and they were like, well, fuck this. We're taking matters into our own hands. They started following the car, right?
Oh my God.
Wait till this is the genius part. The car was electric, but because they had access to it on the app, they started blasting the heating, doing up and down the windows, blah, 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 to drain the battery.
Brilliant.
Knowing they were going to have to stop. They were clearly going to Belfast. The car was like on the motorway heading up to Belfast. That's obviously what they do. They just get them out of the Republic, up into Belfast, bang, sell them, gone. And eventually then, the car, the obviously the thieves realised, Vin Diesel and the boys realised what was happening, and Van Diesel, the Irish lad, brilliant, and they pulled into a garage and fucking legged it, but a car was waiting to meet them at the garage, and they were gone, and then they got their car back. But they still had to call the guards and wait there and be like, we now have our car back. The guards like, wait till we arrive. So there you go. Nevertheless, robbing the gaff. Mental lie.
That's not good. Fair play to him for not reporting her to the guards.
Yeah.
He has her banged to rights.
Damn right. I knew a guy who was seeing this person out in the UAE, and they're both Irish. He flew home. She stayed out there. The relationship was over. And then he got a bill on his card for €700 for online shopping. And the excuse was, oh, your card was just connected to my blah, blah. That is just a nonsense. We all know the truth. And speaking of the truth, my friends, the truth is, that's all we have time for today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you next week. Let's go. Thank you so much for listening to the Weekly Roast, guys. It's a pleasure to be here in this chair talking to you every Monday morning, although it's Tuesday because of the bank holiday, but we don't need to get into that. If you enjoy the show, let me know on Instagram at Megan Mark. The best way to show some love to the podcast and help us grow even more in 2025 is to share the show with a friend of yours. If you have somebody in your life that you feel like would enjoy a bit of light relief and a little bit of a laugh, or perhaps somebody who's gone through a breakup recently, send them this podcast and maybe they will feel a little bit more gentle knowing that they're not alone. There you go. Chat to you soon. See you next week. All the best. Bye-bye.